Hi there, welcome to this short walkthrough of some features in EWM, known as RTC, known as CCM somewhere. So let's dive into this. So here you have our old favorite, the coffee machine, and we decided to extend the things that the coffee machine can do by adding Wi-Fi connectivity. So that's the new thing for the next release. As you can see here, I created a query, a filter towards the database with everything related to this new features, and we call it work items for 2023A. Looking at this query then, we can see here that we do have everything, and of course the query is created like so, that we just click and select what we want to do, we can run it, and then we can see all our stuff. So the setup is very similar to everything else we have been seeing. So we have the epics, and you can see that there is a relation with the stories listed here, and then we can look at the actual story, one of the stories, and we can see it has sort of a number of children as tasks in this case. Going into one of these, or the uppermost epic then, so the umbrella, we can see the same thing here, that we do have our children. We can jump into one of them and see the same thing looking at the links. So we have the children for the story, the tasks, and we have of course the parent, the epic, defined here as well. Here you have a block information, and I will tell you more about that later. So this is all well, and what we can do now is to add planning. And plans are really just a visualization of the data that we see here. And it's a bit like a query towards the database to populate that specific plan with the work items that we have seen here and that we do have in our system. So let's have a look at one of the plans. So just looking at the Sprint 1 release 2023 hardware. So I created this, and as you can see up here, I created this filters I was talking about. So this is for the hardware team, and it's a specific sprint that we do have up here. We can minimize that, and we can maximize this one. So here we can see a slightly different view with the different information in the same sort of hierarchy as we've been seeing before. And we can see sort of the task at the bottom and who is responsible for doing that and so forth. So that's quite nifty. We can of course look at it in a slightly different way, still in the same plan, but just viewing it in a different way. And that's just talking about the Scrum board that we can have here, and we can obviously move things across and do things as we normally do. So this is, and we can also see the status, the state that we are in, and things like that. So over to the perhaps more interesting stuff, because this should be all very well known. So let's have a look at the quick planner. So in the quick planner, when you start, you get the question if you want to do a work board or a plan board. They are really sort of the same thing. It's just sort of a starting point to get you going. You can also choose to start from a preconfigured lane, or you can make it exactly as you want to do. You can also use tags, which means that you just have some order in your system. So let's have a look at the sprints for this 2023. And what I tend to do is just to pin this first lane, which means that I will be able to do things like this when I want to position things in different sort of iterations coming up. And here you can see the first epic, as we have seen before, I can expand that, and I can see my stories as so, and I can expand further to see my task as expected. So what I typically do here, I drag and drop my stories into the different sprints where I want to have them. As you can see, I already done that. So you have sort of the add Wi-Fi chip, you have the connect new CPU and things like that. So here we have sprint 1, and we added this 2028, and we can expand it and see all the content of this. Interestingly, here also you may modify all the things that you see here, so you can just click on them and say that this should be a medium thingy instead, and that automatically will update that underlying work item. You can also expand using this thing down here, and you can sort of modify and add information here as well, and see where you are and things like that. Another interesting thing you can do from here, or you can do it from here, of course. You can click on this button here, and you will jump to the actual content on that story, and you can see here that we have 1 that is in the new state and 2 that is in progress, been working on, and things like that. Another thing you can do here is to actually start adding things, and this might be the simplest way to add things, by just clicking on saying, I would like to add a new task. I would like it to be towards the hardware team. I would like me to be the owner. I would like to have this specific. And as you can see here, there's sort of a indicator or an icon here, or actually a text thingy that you can use to, if you want to write this quickly and don't have to click down here. And the last part is, of course, to just come up with a name for it. So let's see. Do it, and we create that one, and we get sort of a new do it thing here that we can then start working on. We can, of course, as before, set sort of information on here where we want to have it and things like that. And as you can see here, the information that I selected up here is then sort of reflected in what comes out of the actual creation of this new task. Going back, just to also say that we do have a small progress thing here, so we can open up, we can see is anything actually going on this sprint that we are currently in, so we can see that here. One final thing to mention is the program board. And I created a program board that looks at the individual stories inside an epic and their relationships. And this is very important when you want to make sure that you don't have something created for you that will not work because they are actually depending on something else that should have been created. This is something that you set up between the story relationships. And that was actually the block thing that you saw before. So you can see here that the green line means that this is fine. The red line means it's not that fine. It's actually sort of bad-ish. So what you can do here is you can actually click on this thing here, and you can click on the plus sign here to see that, well, the reason that you get the red line is that you have a dependency between this developed web interface and the add MQTT connection to web and mobile. So what you can do here is to modify your sprints, to change your whatever you want to do here to make sure that it's working the way that you expect it to do. Normally you may not perhaps have a dependency between stories, it's more perhaps between tasks, but it works the same way between those. And if you do modifications here, they will actually automatically update the underlying work items as expected. So that's it for today. So thank you very much for listening in. Bye now.